So, episode 83 of Who Thought We'd Be Here,
83.
live from Q29 Studios. Today, on this episode, last week we talked about self-doubt and how it affects you, some ways to work around it, some objective thinking that you can do when you're doubting yourself. Today, we are going to give a plan of action. It's one of the first episodes that we've done like this where we're going to map out a way for you to approach a topic or something and be able to have a plan of action to accomplish that.
Mm-hmm.
So me and JP have both read this book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Mm-hmm.
It's a best-selling book for 100 years.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
there's a reason it works for people.
Yeah, I would say that there are certain parts of it that people might find outdated now, but I think the basic main principles of it still stand.
They also do make a copy of the book that is up to date, where they will tell you very much at the beginning of the book.
That's the one that you got me for
Christmas.
Christmas.
Did I get you that one?
Yeah.
Okay,
so,
because
yeah.
I think this one too, and it says, use this as you will.
Yeah.
Boy, because the book is written during the Great Depression. So a lot of it is for
Yeah.
the people that don't know. The book came out during the Great Depression. It was a way to inspire people to try and work out of the hole that financially a lot of people had fallen into.
But so in a lot of ways, in the day and age where like international business is a lot more possible and people are a lot more capable of making that happen with the resources that we have now, you could even make the argument that some of the things that he talks about are easier to accomplish than they were 100 years ago.
Yeah. So in the first chapter of the book, he talks about 6 steps that you can put into place to accomplish whatever you're trying to accomplish. He starts off by saying, wishing will not bring riches or whatever goal you have, but desiring riches with a state of mind that becomes obsessive, and then planning definite ways and the means to acquire those riches and backing those plans with persistence, which does not recognize failure, will bring those riches. So essentially, come up with your plan, stick to that plan, acquire whatever goal you're trying to acquire.
In other words, stay the course.
Yes. So first off, he has fix in your mind the goal which you are to desire.
Mm-hmm.
So for me personally, it's creating content and making money off of that. For you?
I would say I'm definitely in that, but it's also like building a career around my skill set of filmmaking. So content creation is certainly involved in that, but it's also beyond that of like specific ways where my creative abilities can do that.
Okay. And now this is important because it's not sufficient to merely say, I want to become a content creator or I want to make more content or whatever it is for you in your own personal life. Be very specific. I want to be a content creator that makes this kind of content. I want to be a creator that makes this much money. I want to be a person that's in this kind of relationship. It's very important to specify exactly what you're going after, because if you're vague and you're not being completely truthful and honest with yourself, how do you expect yourself to follow through?
Yeah, this is like the mental version of finding your niche, where it's just like for instance, you can be, I like to think that these days, like if you're creating content, the days are over where you need to just like stay in one lane. Would you agree?
Yeah.
That like you don't necessarily need to only talk about fitness, right? You can also talk about lifestyle. You can talk about your mental health. You can talk about your relationship. In my opinion, you can do that. But when we say exact, I think it means that you also need to think about what the exact like outcome maybe is, like how you want to view it in the way.
That's a good way of putting it.
And what I mean by that is not like I want 100,000 followers. What I mean by that is the exact thing that you want is it to help people? If you're it, or is it to look sexy on Instagram? If that's your goal, fine. Fucking go for it. But like establish that is the goal that you want from it. Like if your goal is to go on social media and look cool, wouldn't be my goal. But like if that's your thing, go for it, right? Whatever that thing may be, right? And the same thing can be applied if it's a relationship, right? It's not, I want to be in a good relationship. It's I want to be in a relationship where the communication is healthy. I want to be in a relationship where my partner supports me. I want to be in a relationship with somebody who's attractive, whatever it might be. Nothing is off limits, like as long as you're not hurting anybody.
Yeah.
But like be specific about those things, because then it can get very vague and you can get wrapped up and come off course.
Okay. So secondly, he says, determine exactly what you intend to give in return for your desire, which is important because you don't get anything by just simply stating out loud that I want that thing. So there has to be a plan, a course of action that you can take. So if we go back to content creation again, make the content. It doesn't matter like what it is, but you have to start making the things that's going to be the trade-off. So if you're making content to make money, you have to make the kind of content that's going to make money. You can't just be making.
Well, it's stuff that's valuable, right? Are you educating people?
Yes.
Are you, and I think that
along the lines of this podcast, it's like we want to be able to have listeners and viewers watch and hear the podcast, and it help them in a way that impacts their life. So by doing so, if that's our goal, we have to come on this podcast and do things like this where we're giving you something of value that can in fact help you.
Where you can get the essence of this book from 100 years ago in 20 minutes.
Yeah, from
right?
us talking about
And I think that also what ties into that is not thinking that by being a good person or by just by doing the thing that then it will be given to you. You need to come up with the fact that like it's just the reality of life. You can either sit around and be like, oh, well, I'm good at this, so like eventually I'm going to be super successful at it. You need to figure out how you're going to do that and like realistically like the why behind that, because then that will accelerate you to be able to figure out like, okay, and because there's plenty of people out there who have millions of dollars who have given nothing, right? And they sit alone in their bed empty at night, right? Because they haven't necessarily provided anything. And it's just like the goal of this also, and I think through our lens, is that not only do you want to be able to do this, but you want to be able to sleep at night knowing that you're providing value to these people that you're helping.
Absolutely. So the fourth is a little bit of a combination of the last.
Oh wait, no. Is it you have to come up with a definite date, right? Is that the third one? Did we say that or no? Did I miss you say that?
We didn't.
But that kind of ties into the exact thing, but just touch on that briefly.
Well, I didn't even, that we were still on the second step on what you were going to give in return. So the third is, like you said, to establish a definite date on which you intend to possess what you're going to accomplish, which is a big one because without deadlines, nothing would ever get accomplished.
Yes. So, and I think that what's important about this step is make it something that's within your control.
Yeah.
Right? So if your thing is to become a content creator, don't make it, I need to have 500,000 followers by this point. Because in a lot of ways, that is out of your control. There's a lot of algorithms. There's all these things that can get in the way of that. Is it a good goal to have? Sure. But I think when you think about something like this, it's to say, I'm going to create 100 pieces of content by April 1st.
Yeah, that's a great way to go about it. I'm going to have 3 affiliates by this date, to make content of.
Yeah, exactly.
Or whatever it might be in your own personal experience. But have a date that you plan to attain whatever you're after. Because if you're just winging it and there's no finish line to cross, you're just going to be winging it for a really long time.
And also, I think it's important there is to, especially if this is like the first step and you're not like, you haven't done this through a few times of like coming up with a thing, you need to start with something that's you're able to accomplish, right? I'm not of the belief that it's just like, oh, you can just wake up one day and say like, I'm going to manifest $1 billion business and that by the end of next year, it's going to happen because you thought about it every single day. Do I think that that's a good step if you want to do that? But it's silly for you to think that it's not also going to take the work and that there aren't going to be other things involved in that. So place it as something that is within your control, right? So it's even like the difference between saying, like, make it something realistic, but it's like, it's the difference between saying I'm going to lose 20 pounds in 6 months or I'm going to go to the gym 5 days a week for 6 months, right? Will you probably get to the 20-pound goal? Yes. But you've put something that is within your control that at the end of 6 months and you've lost 18 pounds, but you kept true to your goal, you're right there. Versus being like, I'm going to get 20 pounds, but I'm going to lose 20 pounds, but I'm not going to put anything in place or a deadline that allows me to do that. Yeah.
Next, he has write out, create a definite plan for carrying out your desire and begin at once, whether you're ready or not to put this plan into action.
The begin at once part is the important part.
Yeah, I think that's probably the most important thing right there. So whatever it is, because like we talked about in the last episode, the longer you think about something without doing it, the more time you're allowing self-doubt to give you a reason why you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
So if there's a goal that you're after, whether it's creating content or finding a relationship or making a certain amount of money, you need to have a plan and you need to just start it. Because the longer that you delay and the longer you give those thoughts time to creep in, the less likely you are to accomplish whatever you're after. So if you have a goal, write it down, start today.
Yeah, I think that like the definite plan is important because that ties into the previous step, which is creating something that is realistic, that is within your control, that you can do. But the most important part of that is starting right now. Or whatever that looks like, right? If it's that the next time that you can take the class in that thing, sign up for that class today. So in a month you start, right? Don't put it off any further, because all that does is allow you to reason with yourself and come up with excuses about how you're not ready yet. And like I've already said, it's just that like nobody is ever ready for the potential that is going to come their way, right? They start and then they figure it out. And that is just the way that life works. You don't get experience as a billion-dollar businessman without having a billion-dollar business. And none of them got there, you know what I mean? Like, of course you can have billions of dollars and then start another one. But most of us, if you're listening to this podcast, I would assume that that's not where you're at.
Yeah. So the fifth one is a big one for me personally. I really stuck to this one. It was one that I felt like gives me just like it instills the power of belief in you a little bit. So it's write out a clear, concise statement of whatever you intend to inquire. Name the time for that acquisition, when it's going to happen, the date that we talked about. Write out what you're going to give up, like we talked about in step 2, in return for that desire. And then describe the plan on how you're going to accumulate it. So this is essentially taking the first 4 steps that we've given you and writing out a full-on script of all of them combined. And what this does is now you see the whole plan in action. You have what you want to desire. You have when you're going to desire it, what you're going to do to get what you desire, and you have a plan to follow. And that nothing can be accomplished without those things.
And I think that the clear, concise part of that is very important, which is that if you're doing this and you're making it super complicated and you're starting off on the wrong foot. It has to be like, it can be a complicated goal, but don't overcomplicate the steps of you getting there. You know what I mean? So give yourself a chance at it, that like along the way you are going to need to figure things out.
Yeah.
And
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. And that you have to have like the important part about this is, I don't want it to get confused as to have like, you need to have like the entire thing mapped out. It's just that like you need to have a plan today with the knowledge that you have, that you will go about today to figure out that knowledge. Yeah. You're silly to think that life is going to go in a certain way where something is not going to come up, but you will figure that out. Don't think out the 100 things that are going to get in your way or could get in your way, because they might not happen, right? But think about the fact that like you need to have just a clear plan that says, I want to be let's say you want to be a professional personal trainer, right? Where would you start?
I mean, I was going to give my example on my own of just
but I'm saying
how to write this out.
I'm saying that it's just like, but that is just like Well, you can't do it at all unless you get the certification, right?
Yeah.
And also, but maybe there's a step before that, which is that like, are you 100 pounds overweight, but you want to be a personal trainer? Maybe you should get in shape first.
Yeah.
If you want an amazing relationship, are you a person that you want to be in a relationship with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't overcomplicate those steps. Think about
Yeah.
what's going to get you there.
So, I mean, for me, I'll just summarize in what I've written down for myself,
Okay,
going along the content goals with what we're reading. So for me, it would be like, I want to make $10,000 a month making content. To make that goal, I'm going to make content that is based on fitness and mental wellness that can help people along their journey of getting better at whatever they're doing. I want my first $10,000 a month to be in 6 months from now.
Mm-hmm.
And then having the plan that you are going to use to stick to is like the steps that you would make for it.
So then what does that look like on your thing?
So
like, what are the steps that you take that in 6 months you could be doing that? Guy's got the Indiana Jones whip attached to his fucking journal.
So I wrote this down just like to have an example.
Yeah, exactly.
But I have.
I think it'll be good for people to hear
your
your example.
So, in context to what we're talking about, for me, I would write down, I will make my average monthly income $10,000. My first $10,000 will be in 2026. I will create content about health and wellness that will align with brands who will pay me to sponsor and promote their products. You know, and that's your plan of action that you go ahead on.
Yeah.
You don't need to make it this thought out, elaborated 15-step plan like for every single day. Write out what your goal is, what you're trying to achieve, and the path that you plan on getting there. And then you can go about the other things as they come up, writing out a specific plan per day of like what needs to be done and stuff like that. What we're talking about is coming up with a general idea of what you're trying to accomplish and giving you 6 steps to follow that should lead you to where you're trying to get to if you follow them correctly.
Yeah. So then like even I would say like in your example, right? We talked about like coming up with a plan that is actionable, that is within your control, right? You don't necessarily have control over when that brand will reach out, right? We both know that, right? But so then to you, it looks something like, I will sit down twice a week to come up with ideas, right? I will post X amount of times every week, whether I feel like it or not, right? Anticipate what's going to get in your way and say, I'm not going to let that get in the way.
Another way to look at it too is like one of the ways that I take this book and the knowledge that I've gained from it is I look at it very practically. Is like sometimes it's not about having this clear path and like all of these check marks that you need to hit a goal. Sometimes it is just as simple as writing out these 5 steps and then writing down what your plan is. Because in order to do anything, you have to believe in yourself. And I think what the premise of this book is, because it's Think and Grow Rich, is a lot about the power of the mind and how if you believe in yourself, you can actually accomplish those things. So I think what one of the plans is to see and feel and believe in yourself already in possession of that which you're trying to acquire. And by writing down these steps, thinking them over, and the last step is read your written statement out loud twice a day, once before retiring at night and as soon as you wake up in the morning. Once you start doing those things and you have this plan and you start instilling that belief in yourself, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally. It's, and I think that a lot of times getting clear about this thing is what makes people uncomfortable, right? Do you feel uncomfortable talking about it?
No, not at all right now.
No?
No.
That's good. You're already like past one of the hardest steps that a lot of people have.
Well, I see the way that I take this book is practically. So I know in my head that like, yeah, those things might not be accomplished because I'm saying them out loud, but they're never going to be accomplished if I don't think that of myself. So it's like with the podcast, like when somebody asks me what I do, I no longer tell them that I'm a bartender or I do this and that. I say I have a podcast, because podcasting is what I would like to be able to do long term as my goal. Sitting down, having these conversations with you, meeting guests and learning the stuff that we learn, and being able to make money off of it is exactly what I would like to be doing.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to go around and tell people that, yeah, no, I work in a restaurant. Like, identify yourself as you'd like to be identified.
That's a big part of it. That's I also think that that's a step that a lot of people miss when they're beginning on this journey. It's like, you want to be a filmmaker? Have you posted one piece of thing on Instagram? Then technically you are that thing. But until you do that one thing, like you got to start. You got to do something, right? Even if it's you turn on your front-facing camera and you say, "My name is John Pugh, and I want to be a professional filmmaker. I haven't made any films yet, but that is something that I want to do." Already there, you've made a step in the direction of that is something that I want to do, right?
And believing in yourself.
Yeah, and technically, and yeah, you can get caught up in like, oh well, I haven't made fucking Jaws or Wolf of Wall Street or whatever your favorite movie is. Sure, but that's not where it starts, right? It starts with the thought that like, that's what I want to be. That's where I want to be at, right? And technically, you're a filmmaker. It's easier than ever to do something like be a filmmaker, be a content creator, broadcast your goals out there and tell people that this is what I'm about to do, right? Because it creates like an accountability where you're going to feel like, I don't want to let people down. And sometimes that's what you need. Sometimes you need to put it out there so that you will stick to what you're going to do. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what the version of what you're doing right now is, right?
Yeah. I mean, you could even take it back if you've listened to the first episode of the year when we listed our goals for the year. If we had done our goals just for the podcast and the 6 steps that they lay out in here, you know,
we'd probably be in a better position than we are now.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah,
it's
because
true.
It lists it in front of you. It makes it attainable. You believe in it, and it's what you're after.
Yeah, I still believe in looking at all of this. Every single part of it is important, but I think that the most important part of it where people lose it is they say, I want to do it, but I don't want to start right now. It's just like, then you don't want it bad enough.
Yep.
Right? We could have sat around for how long and said, we want to start a podcast, but we're going to wait till JP can afford a camera.
Yeah.
Or until I get a haircut. Or until I'm in a studio. Or until I have accomplished X, Y, and Z, right? But we started. And you don't get to that point without the official starting, especially if it's just like time goes on. And like we can just get so caught up in, oh, well, I'll do it next week. I'll start on that next week. If you want a different life, you have to start today.
Yeah.
Right? Or, you know, if it's not today, hopefully it's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's tomorrow. It's like you wake up and you go for a run.
Yeah. I mean,
whatever your goal is.
I think it comes down to when you're ready to change, you will. But for anybody that's
I know that that's true, but it's just like, I think that sometimes people let their gut control that versus at any given point you can decide that you're going to do this and start, right? And we lose track of like the free will because you let the fact that like, oh, well, I work at this corporate job, but I don't want to do that anymore, you know? And I'm not saying go out there and fucking quit your job right now, but I am saying that like, well, what's the step that you can take right now that will get you closer to where you want to be? Because it's like, if you hate your life during the week, but then on the weekends, you just sit around on the couch because you're so beat up from your corporate job all week. Maybe you need to get up off your ass because it's not going to change unless you do that.
Yeah.
So what's that small step, right? You can do this formula with the smallest possible thing, right? You could do this literal formula for posting one piece of content, correct? Right? Or you could do it with a huge goal, right? But if that's what trips you up, then start small, right? If it's to say that like, I want to go to the gym twice next week, you can literally do this formula for that. Yeah.
So let us know in the comments. What are you working on? What are you working to attain? Do you have a plan? If you did, write it out. Let us see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah. And most importantly, let us know if you're starting at once.
Yes, exactly. All right. Who thought we'd be here? Episode 83.
All right. Thanks for listening.